You're probably wondering how I got here. And honestly, to tell you the story, it'd be kind of long, and people don't really like it when I ramble. So I'll probably just fast forward through all of that and just get straight to the good stuff. Hi, my name is Winston Dennis. I'm a 20-year-old college student. I go to Texas A&M University. And today, I'm in charge of explaining to you about missionary discipleship. So like I said, today we're talking about missionary discipleship, and so I think that the only smart thing to do right off the bat is to figure out what each word means. When you hear the word mission, it's like having a goal that you have to set out for yourself and you have to go accomplish it, right? So we got mission. And now when you think about the word discipleship, you break it down. Disciples. What does a disciple mean? Disciples were around long before Jesus was even around, which is kind of crazy to think about because we automatically think disciples, Jesus. It's like peanut butter and jelly. But disciples were just people that would follow rabbis around. A rabbi is a teacher, so the disciples were kind of like the teacher's students. Now, when Jesus showed up, Jesus became the ultimate teacher, and all these people wanted to follow Jesus and be just like him, so they were Jesus's disciples. That being said, so a disciple is someone who consistently pursues God, not just when it's convenient. A disciple consistently shows up in prayer. They're active at Mass, they go to confession. So now we know what missionary disciples means. But what does discipleship mean? So we'll break that down too. Disciples, obviously we know now that they're like students of Jesus. They're followers of Jesus. They're people that want to be like Jesus. And we know that ship and discipleship is like a boat. That was a joke. So we'll break down a little bit more like what being a disciple truly means. When I was in junior high and high school, I was telling myself it's okay if I skipped Mass or fell asleep or didn't feel like praying that day or skipped out on going to confession. I just thought that all of those I thought that kind of holding out on my faith was going to be fine just because whenever the next retreat came, I would just pray extra hard and sing extra loud, and God would be like, oh, all those times that you chose not to follow me, that's fine. I realize now that that's probably not the smartest thing to do or the best thing to do because God wants a relationship with us. He doesn't just want to hear from us every couple months. He would rather have the relationship with us and get to hear from us every single day. It's like having a friend who every now and then just shows up and is like, hey, we're like the best friends, right? We're best friends. And you have like a great weekend with them, and then they disappear off the face of the earth, except whenever they like need like a good grade on a math test or want to like win the lottery or something. Like they just ask and ask and ask for stuff, and then they expect everything to be okay once like the magic weekend comes. And that's not the right way to look at our relationship with God. Father Mike Schmidt said that consistency beats intensity every time. That just goes to show us that having a consistent prayer life is the way to go, and it's the way to be a true disciple of Jesus. And a disciple has that relationship with Jesus. It's a relationship. A disciple wants to be like Jesus. He wants to learn as much as he can from Jesus so that he can replicate it in his own life and continue to go on. So what does Jesus tell us to do? Jesus tells us to go make disciples of all nations. That's exactly what the Catholic Church was made to do. I think it's only wise that we go back to the exact place when the first disciples were called so that we can get a little bit better of a feel on what being a disciple truly means before we talk about what a missionary disciple is. So let's put ourselves in the story. Jesus tells us to catch the fish and that he'll sort them out later. So let's hop into that moment and see what it felt like. That was awesome. I really did feel like I was there. That being said, how do we catch fish? Jesus tells us to go and catch like men and fish and men, and that we'll be fishermen, but we're not fishermen because we're fishes. No, we're men of fit. No, we're fishers of men, not fish. So I had to narrow it down to just 3 ways. 3 ways to catch fish. The first is by tossing your fishing pole. Just kidding. We're gonna talk about how to make more disciples. There's 3 ways. The first way is to meet. Jesus' biggest thing is meeting people where they were. So regardless of your situation or where you're coming from or what you've done in your past, Jesus wants to meet you there. So Jesus calls us to meet people where they are. So our first one will be meet. Our second one is bravery. Jesus calls us to stand up for our faith and to not be afraid of what others think about us just because we believe what we believe. So we'll elaborate about that a little bit more later. And the third one is gifts. You will have to use those gifts that Jesus gave you so that you can call other people to know Jesus as well. So we have meat, bravery, and gifts, or MBG, or MBG. So the first one was meet. Jesus calls us to meet people where they are, with a loving heart, regardless of their past, regardless of what they believe in, regardless of who they are. Jesus asks us to come and meet them in that space. Jesus showed us him doing that at the woman of the well.
The story of the woman at the well is found in John 4, verse 4 through 42. Jesus asks a Samaritan woman for a drink of water. She says, "How can you, a Jew, ask me, a Samaritan woman, for a drink?" Jesus said, "If you knew the gift of God and who was saying to you, 'Give me a drink,' you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water." Jesus met the woman at the well.
And the incredible thing about Jesus is not only does he pursue you, but others pursue him as well. It's like what we were made to do. It's literally what we are made to do, is be in communion with God and to pursue Jesus. That being said, whenever you start acting like Jesus, people want to pursue that relationship that you have with Jesus, and they see a light in you that they want in themselves. They want to have that energy and that excitement to continue to live their life. Because life can get kind of boring whenever you just are only allowing yourself to try and be satisfied by earthly things, because earthly things will never truly fill us up. The only thing that will fill us up is that water that Jesus promises us at the well. To wrap up meat, it's important to know that your actions will point others to the Lord. So meet them where they are, regardless of the circumstances. Meet them in that space, and the Lord will come and enter and do great things. Time for our second thing. Okay, it was bravery. Bravery to do the hard things. This is super tough to talk about because sometimes it's scary to do the hard things. That's why it's bravery. You have to have this just bravery to stand up for your faith. Because when you stand up for your faith, you're going to run into hard patches. Jesus didn't promise us that it will be easy. He promised us that it will be worth it. So that being said, sometimes someone will come across that will question your faith and challenge you. Jesus tells us that it's not about winning the argument, it's about winning that soul. So regardless of what they throw at you, you have to stay poised, stay brave, stay strong in what you believe in, and come back with them with love. Again, meeting them where they are, but adding bravery to that so that you can truly testify what it means to be a disciple of Christ and why it's worth it, why they should do that as well. Jesus was the bravest person that ever walked this earth. Not only did he sacrifice his life for us, even when people were calling him names and being mean to him, he still stayed strong in what he believed in and never retaliated against it. Again, he met people where they were and greeted them with love. He was the bravest person that ever walked this earth. So that's bravery. Bravery was our second one. Our third one now will be gifts. When God made us, he made each and every one of us with a special gift. Regardless of if you know what your gift is, you have so many. Even I can feel your gifts from here, and I'm inside of your TV screen or your computer screen or your iPhone screen, depending on what you're watching this on. Your gift could be music or art or speaking or listening or giving a good hug or enjoying food, which I love food, but God gave us each individual gift so that we can better showcase who he is. That being said, I'll tell a quick story. I was a soccer player my whole life, literally from birth. When I was kicking in my mom's stomach. And soccer was like my everything. I loved it. And I thought, one day I'm gonna be famous. I'm gonna be the best soccer player of all time. That didn't really work out for me. I didn't make my varsity soccer team my senior year, and I thought like all my hard work was for nothing. But then I remembered all the good moments that I had playing soccer, all of the lessons that I learned along the way, and how I could implement those lessons and those to better off myself in other places. And so I found myself on this mission trip with Epiphany, and on the mission trip there was a soccer ball, and I was just walking up to the soccer ball to flick it up in the air and have fun with it, and then a little kid saw it, and he was like, "Oh, let me hang around, let me talk to you." And we were just kicking the soccer ball around, and he became a friend. I became a friend to him. And then he came to VBS that we were doing at the local church, and it was through that gateway, through that gift that I thought, was for nothing, that God opened a door to allow me to show this kid how great God is. Your gift can literally be anything. God's glory shines through it all. If it's painting, you can try and paint and capture God's glory in a way that nobody else has done before. Or if it's music, you can sing praises and lead others in worship of God. If it's sports, you can pray before each match or pray before the game, and be a leader in that circle. If it's dance, then you can dance and you can glorify God through your dance moves. If it's being a content creator on TikTok, then maybe you can make cool Jesus TikToks and use your platform to speak the truth into the world. There's so much hate in this world, so we need people that are willing to stand up and be brave and meet people where they are and use their gifts to bring that light of God into the world. I remember when I was in junior high and whenever I was in high school, we had VBS. And I always volunteered at VBS because I really enjoyed VBS as a kid. And I remember I always volunteered to help with skits because I always thought skits were the funniest thing ever. So I wanted to be a part of that. And I remember I finally got to be in skits and I was doing, a skit and I was Jesus in the skit. And it was awesome. I was like, yeah, I get a lead role. But I remember I was only in half the skit because I was dead for half of it because, Jesus dies and then he comes back. But he doesn't really say much when he comes back. At least not in the skit version because that would be the longest skit ever. Anyways. So I remember doing that skit and feeling okay, cool. I got a lead role, maybe those maybe I'm glad that the kids laughed at me and they probably think I'm cool. I don't know. I was just thinking all about myself, right? And not, I wasn't really thinking about anything other than that. And then I was at Hobby Lobby, which I never go to Hobby Lobby, but I was at Hobby Lobby and I was walking through the aisles and this little kid was staring at me. And I was like, hello. And then he kind of looked away. And then he ran over into another aisle and I don't know where he went. And then I just kept walking through the aisles and I saw him again. He was just staring at me like this. And I was like, what's up? And then, he just ran away again and then he came back and he was just kind of staring from afar. From a close. And I was like, dude, what's going on? But I didn't say that. It was just hey. I tried to wave, whatever. And then he came back with his mom. He was holding her hand like this. So, Mom, that's him. And I was like, oh no. Who am I? And he said, Mom, that's Jesus. And I was like, oh, yo, I was Jesus. That's wild. This kid, this kid was impacted by my portrayal of Jesus. He was impacted by the way that I brought God's light into his life. Whether it be a small impact, but it was enough of an impact for him to call me out in the middle of Hobby Lobby to his mother. His mother was probably confused. But the kid was brave and he said, that's Jesus. Mom, that's Jesus. And then I think back, what if I just told the kid to scram? What if I was like, dude, what are you looking at? What if I was on the phone and I was cussing to one of my friends? And the little kid heard that, the little kid saw that? What if I was buying I don't even know what bad things you can buy at Hobby Lobby. What if I was buying alcohol from Hobby Lobby? And the little kid saw that. The little kid saw Jesus patrolling the halls of Hobby Lobby. Which, if Jesus lives anywhere, he definitely lives in Hobby Lobby. And Chick-fil-A, of course. But then that makes you think. Because if you're going to say that you're a disciple, if you're going to allow God to work through you, then you're on the clock. You can't Walk with the Lord on one day, and then turn your back on him on the next day. It's a commitment, but it's the commitment that's worth it. So I challenge you to put yourself in those shoes, to put yourself in that position. You're sitting in Hobby Lobby, and a little kid comes up to you, says, "That's Jesus." Are you Jesus? Are you being like Jesus? Because if you are being like Jesus, you will show others, and you will show others the way to act, the way to be like Jesus as well, like a missionary disciple. So that being said, there was the three things: meat, bravery, and gifts. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something from it. If you did, smash like on that like button and subscribe to Epiphany Ministry. I'm so glad that I got the opportunity to do this, and I hope you enjoyed it. Sweet. If Joey lets me plug my Instagram handles, I'm gonna throw my Instagram up here. Yeah. So that's been Winston with the Missionary Discipleship video. Yeah.